Eyes made their peace in difficulties with wounded lips and salted cheeks. And finally we step to leave to the departure lounge of disbelief.
Hi, I'm John Green, and this is Crash Course.
No, wrong studio.
Hi, I'm not John
And I'm not Hank.
Green, and this is not Crash Course. I'm Rabluski Cameron, and this is Course Crash. So to begin with is the religious group named the Barnabites, which was founded by my main man, Saint Anthony Marie Zachariah, who lived from 1502 to 1539.
So how old exactly are you?
Not important. But what is important is that the Barnabites were the first order to be dedicated to St. Paul, because that's their inspiration, and they were studying his epistles. Now, you might be wondering what an epistle is. Well, good question if you're actually thinking that, which I'm sure you're really not, because, you know, this is just a video and I'm talking to a camera, you know? Okay. An epistle is a book of the New Testament, which is in the format of a letter, and it's from an apostle. Well, now, following Zachariah's ideals, the Barnabites were a group who cruised Old South. Like, they were not mainstream. Like, they are just like the hippies, and like, you're just hipsters. They're just so like anti-new stuff, you know? They're like, we're gonna devote ourselves fully to God because God is number one, and it's just amazing, you know? Like, but unlike teenagers today, they valued education and also put spiritual life first. So Victory and Knowledge Centers were started up because of their ideals that people should get education. So the Barnabites wanted to like kind of help guide souls. They were like guiding lost souls because they thought people were lost and stuff. But too bad I don't have one. Chris, do you have something to eat?
No.
Because I'm like really starving. I think I need to get a Barnabite to eat. Not endorsed by multigrain Cheerios.
To start off with, I want to talk about my good friend Iggy. Ignatius of Loyola, that is. Because first things first, he's the realist. As in the real founder of the Jesuits. But he didn't always communicate well with, the Almighty. In fact, he used to be a Spanish soldier. And one day during battle, as he lay wounded, he had a religious epiphany and he got himself some Jesus. Then on a beautiful summer day in August 1534, Ignatius and a few of his friends got together and made the Secret Order of the Phoenix.
Everything's false information. You're lying to me. I can see it in your eyes.
What? Oh, well, that's a missed opportunity. Fine, they actually created the Society of Jesus, or so-called the Jesuits. This group wasn't just a bunch of Bible beaters. They happened to be innovators of religious life. They're responsible for the centralization of power towards the leader of the church, all the while making a common uniform and stating that fasting penance is mandatory for all members. And yes, they really did make it mandatory to purposely not eat and to self-inflict punishment. Whoop-de-doo. Even though Ignatius led the Jesuits, every member was extremely devoted to the Pope and followed what he said as though it was written in the Bible itself. Okay? They just really, really like the Pope. As one of their key values was obedience, the other was flexibility, which led them into several ministries. Even during the Counter-Revolution, they stood and defended the Catholic religion and were a major help to the revival of Catholicism. They also had become really involved in education and making it a principal part of their group, okay? Their more controversial history relates to the Jesuits' task of being confessor to the royal family. Yeah, imagine being a shrink to an arrogant, pompous baby with the power to rule and not being able to tell anyone the juicy secrets. Respect, Jesuits. And the Jesuits have been keeping it 300 to this present day. Hey, does anyone know what the forecast is going to be like tomorrow?
Making it red.
Facts! People serve caramel in different ways, such as caramel or caramel, but the group called Carmelites is more along the lines I was thinking of.
Okay, so what kind of Carmelites are you talking about? Because there's the old Carmelites and the new Carmelites.
Thanks, Chris, but I wasn't asking you. Now, as I was saying, the Discalced Carmelites, to be specific, Carmel Mountains where the original Carmelites settled to emulate the prophet Elijah in the 12th century. In centuries to come, in the year 1535, St. Teresa, not to be confused with Mother Teresa, who is 4 centuries behind St. Teresa, became a Carmelite to save her soul and to stay pure.
But didn't she appreciate like her spiritual favors, but like didn't feel at peace?
You're most definitely not wrong, name of student I don't know. The rich and wealthy and those of high rank in the outside world continue to venture into what was supposed to be a sanctuary for the mind and spirit. Wanting to change this, she had to deal with and weather the hard trials that had most people opposed her and her ideas.
Yeah, but wasn't like Saint John of the Cross there to like support her? Like isn't that how like, you know?
Yes, name of student I still don't know, you are once again not wrong. In 1562, the news of St. Teresa reforming the Carmelite life spread to nuns and friars is what aided her in getting more supporters and creating a small monastery for.
The new group was called the Discalced Carmelites, who...
Just let me teach! The Discalced Carmelites would pray often and would not allow outsiders to enter the nunnery, similar to hermits on Carmel Mountain, who wanted nothing but holiness in their lives. St. Teresa and her other sisters and brothers were dedicated to poverty, which is how
the Discalced truest Carmelites became to be.
the flippadoodle, whatever your name may be. I thought we'd been through this. You know what? Forget it. I don't see how St. Teresa and the other friars and nuns can live their lives in such a way. I just... Gah!
The Capuchins were brought about after a split formed in the monks who followed St. Francis in the Marches, a place which is isolated from society by large mountainous regions. In the split, the religious order was divided into 2 separate families, being the Observants and Conventuals, because of a disagreement on how they should be coping with poverty, which is unfortunately very common in monk society. The Conventionals received funds through papal dispensation, in which some sucker would wash away his sins by donating ridiculous amounts of money to the church, while the Observants preferred people to give them money for nothing in return. It sounds sketchy, but they worked the system pretty well. Not only were the Observants too lazy to forgive people's sins, they didn't even accept the money themselves, and instead had secular persons take it for them, though I'm sure this would sound more appealing if they explained it to you themselves. So, not surprisingly, our friends the Capuchins originated from the Observants. Leading this reform was none other than Father Matteo di Lassi, a ridiculously inspiring zealous preacher. Oddly enough, he didn't want to follow through with his idea of the Capuchins until one day in 1525 he visited Rome and chanced upon Pope Clement VII, who was all like, "Dude, that religious thing you're doing sounds totally awesome. You should do that. Carry through, man." But probably in a much more formal sounding way. Even so, Matteo de Bossi was incredibly inspired by this, and even designed a group uniform for his new religion, consisting of a habit, which is basically a monk robe, and a long pointy hood, but strangely enough, no shoes.
Actually, he just copied all of that from St. Francis, though, yeah, just saying.
Touche, you strikingly handsome student. Even with all this crazy stuff happening, the Capuchins really weren't that popular for a very long time. The Vicar General, Bernardine of Occhio, apostolized them, and they were then labeled as heretics for a little under 20 years. But then they reached a refreshing turning point and got the complete Catholic Church bundle when the Vicar General changed in 1543 to Francis Asino, who was apparently a pretty cool dude. From that point, they've been pretty satisfied and maxed out at around 33,000 members, though a decent majority of these loyal followers were used more like bricks in the long run. As disturbing as it is, I'm sure some of you found it humorous. Oh, stop skulking. You're killing my spirit.
Dude, stop!
If they were in a band, I bet they'd all play trombones.
Shut up! Oh my god!
And so you have it. The Barnabites, Jesuits, and Discal Carmelites combined with the Capuchins make up the major religions that were founded in the 16th century. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to...
He's out there.
Oh God, it has begun.